All right, problem solving. We'll also talk about how to represent functions. But first, problem solving. Now, this is a very open-ended subject because there's more than one way to solve a problem. A lot of people panic when they see a word problem. So the purpose here is to try and get you prepared to just tackle the problem. Try it, fail, succeed, just keep hacking away at it. So number one, read and understand the problem. Even if you can't put it into mathematical terms, try to understand what's going on. Get a general idea of what you're looking for. Number two, make a plan, and this is my big one. Draw a picture. Of course, that's if possible. Might not be a picture problem. But any kind of picture can often help a student envision what is going on. Number three, solve the problems. There might be more than one way to do that. However you want to do it, guess and check, trial and error, create an equation and solve it, take an answer, plug it in and see what happens, experiment, whatever it takes. Solve the problem any way you can. You got trial and error, guess and check, mathematical process. And that's the one we'll use whenever we can, but not the only way and not always the best way to solve a problem. Number four, and this is huge, check your work. This is almost always the most important step. You might think you've done everything right, then you check it and something goes wrong. Very few times do I do a problem completely correct the first time. I almost always have to check. I try and check it as I go along, and I find mistakes all the time. So here's an example. Gardener determines the cost of planting his bulbs to be $2.40 per square foot. How much is it going to cost to plant daffodil bulbs in a rectangular garden 12 feet long by 5 feet wide? Draw a picture. Trying to get a price here. So it's 12 feet and 5 feet. We know that it's $2.40 for every foot squared. Well, that should mean that we want to find the area here. So we go 5 feet times 12 feet equals 60 feet squared. We just multiply it up here. Just like common factors, we can cancel units. Multiply it out. And for this, I'm going to pull out a calculator. 240 times 60 is $144. Now, you can't check that number and put it back in. You could just check your work if you wanted to. But I was careful while I went along, so I'm sure I did it right. Here's another one. Stackable storage rack holds 22 DVDs, costs $21. How much would it cost to buy enough racks to hold 127 DVDs? I could do this mathematical, but this is a good one to try a different way. So there's 22 here, 22 here, 22 here, 22 here, 22 here, 22 here. Let's see how many we've got so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 22 is, so far we have 110. Well, we need 127, so let's do at least one more. 22. That would give us 132 DVDs. And that's our answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 racks. Of course, that's not what the question asked for. It asked how much is that? Well, 6 times $21 is $124. Notice that we can't just buy half a rack. We have to buy a whole rack. Even though we have enough room for 132 DVDs and we only need 127, well, we have to round up. Now, we'll use the problem solving more when we come back. Let's get back to some mathematics. How do you know how much it will cost you when you fill up on gas? Not afterwards, but beforehand. Well, your tank's almost empty, and let's say you have a 15-gallon tank. And you know that it costs, these days, $3.90, let's just say, dollars per gallon. Gallons cancel. We multiply. We get 58.50. So we have a 15-gallon tank, and we know it's not quite full. We can say that would be about, say, $55. So the total cost is a function of how much gas you pump. $3.90 per gallon times how many gallons you put in. The gas is the input. In math, people call this the domain. And the domain is the X value. The cost is the output. That's the range. And that is the Y value. In a function, input are paired with outputs that each input is paired with exactly one output. You wouldn't put 10 gallons of gasoline in and maybe it's 40, maybe it's 70, maybe it's 60. It's always going to be exactly one price, in this case $39. So you wouldn't get different answers out. One input is paired with exactly one output. So let's just practice. Domain and range of the function. Input, which is always the X, output, which is always the Y. Domain, we'll put these squiggly little brackets, 0, 1, 2, 4. Range, again with the brackets, and we like to write them in order. 1, 2, 5. We did not have to write 2 twice because it's already listed. We don't have to write it again. Now, is the following a function? For each input, there should be one and only one output. Well, I put 2 in, and one time I get 0. Put 2 in, and one time I get 1. So, no. Not a function. We'll give you lots of practice on this. Now I'll give you a rule and you make the table. Draw a function if the rule is y equals 2x. So x is the domain. We write down 0, 2, 5, 7. The rule is that y equals 2 times x. So 2 times 0 equals 0. 2 times 2 equals 4. 2 times 5 equals 10. 2 times 7 equals 14. And that's it. It's really that simple. A lot of fancy math terms, but it's about that easy. Try another one. Table, T-chart we like to call it. X, Y, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's our domain. Y equals x plus 3. 0 plus 3 equals 3. 1 plus 3 equals 4. 2 plus 3 equals 5. Well, it's going up by 1 every time, so I'm going to be smart and not do all that complicated math. And just write it in. Now we're going backwards. What's the rule for the following? And this is a lot trickier. And don't worry if you don't quite get it, because we'll come up to better ways to do it in the future. Input is 0, we get 2 out, so that's 2 more. Input is 1, we get 3 out, that's 2 more. Input is 4, we get 6 out, that's 2 more. Input is 6, we get 8 out, that's 2 more. So I'm going to guess that we get x plus 2. And let's check it out. If I put in 0, I get out 2. If I put in 1, 1 plus 2 is 3. Put in 4, 4 plus 2 is 6. I put in 6, 6 plus 2 is 8. Looks good to me. So this can be hard. You always got to double check your work. Eventually we'll give you a better way to do it, but just try another one. This is 1, and it becomes 8. And I just happen to notice that these all look like they're being multiplied by 8. 2 times 8. 3 times 8. 4 times 8. So this looks like y equals 8x. I put in 1 multiplied by 8, I get 8. Put in 2 multiplied by 8, I get 16. Looks like I did it right. What is this all about? Well, if it's time and pay, my guess is that you're getting paid $8 an hour, and if you work 4 hours, you make $32. If you work 3 hours, you make $24, and so on and so on. That's it. A lot of material. Try some problems. Don't get hung up on the vocabulary. Just do the problems to the best of your ability. See if they make sense. Good luck.